Hey y'all, welcome back and welcome in if you're new. Today I'm bringing you along for a quick peek at the newly reopened President Barack Obama Main Library. This library has been closed since 2020, and many of us have been waiting patiently, some impatiently, through the delays caused by construction costs and even the removal of asbestos. The ribbon cutting ceremony in September drew many families and library lovers ready to see what a $17 million renovation looked like. The library still holds a massive collection of around 80,000 books, plus its huge digital catalog. There are 72 public computers. Kids and teens have their own dedicated bright, cozy spaces where they can be loud and fully themselves. There are private study rooms where people can tutor, collaborate, or even just enjoy some quiet reading time. And one of the additions I think is really cool is the Create to Innovate Maker Space. This room is stocked with a 3D printer, engravers, and even a sewing machine. There's also a small performance auditorium, meeting spaces, and even a bookstore with a little cafe set up. What stood out to me most was the energy. Walking around, I kept noticing the same expression on everyone's faces. This mix of excitement and pride. People were pointing out new corners, rediscovering their favorite aisles, and again, just enjoying the space. It reminded me why libraries matter so much. They're one of the last true community spaces. And if you're in St. Petersburg and haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you stop by.
The feeling. Especially when you get to that the last 3-ish, 4 hours of your shift. Yeah. Alrighty guys, so I just made it home. I got fixings for Kale Soup, one of my close friends, years ago. shared this recipe, and I give her so much crap about her recipes and the things that she puts together, but she really does make some good meals. I took that recipe from her and started making kale soup for my family when it starts to get cold. So that is what I am planning to make for dinner. Also, before I went to Wally World, I went to my local library and picked up some books that were waiting for me. 2 of the 4 have come in. I have a lot planned, as always, for my TBR for the next for the rest of the month and this coming month. And 2 of the books that I wanted to check out is one of those words, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Yeah, I think that's how you say her name, Feeney. So this book I added to my TBR really, really early in the year. It is about this writer who it says he's having the worst day of his life. So he gets a call from his wife, and she's driving, and he hears her slam her brakes, open her car door, and that's it. And his wife goes missing. So I think she's missing for it says a year. She disappeared for a year. And the author, Grady Green, decides he needs to get away. So he goes to this island, and he sees someone that looks like his wife while he's on the island writing this book that is long overdue. And so he sees this woman, and obviously he's going to be trying to figure out, is this woman really his wife, right? So it sounds like a mystery thriller situation. And I don't read too many books with married couples and married couples having issues and missing spouses. Kind of like a Gone Girl situation. So that'll be something different for my TBR. This next one is called The Incredible Kindness of Paper. And in this one, now this is a recent ad. I was just scrolling through Goodreads, and saw this was being promoted on one of the lists for the holiday. And it's about this young woman, Chloe Hanako Quinn, who as a child had a pen pal named Oliver Jones. And it says that she would whisper messages in the letters that she would write to him, and he would hear them. So I'm not sure if this has a supernatural component to it, but it seems as though they had a friendship that started to blossom until Oliver and his family disappeared. So it's 20 years later, and Chloe has had some troubles in her life, situationships. She's been being laid off from her job, loneliness, and she picks up writing uplifting messages again, the same thing that she did as a child, and she puts them on yellow origami paper. Across the city, Oliver also finds himself in rough circumstances and comes upon the yellow paper roses that his old friend Chloe is writing. So this, I'm thinking, has a faded soulmate situation, and it kind of reminds me, and again, I have not watched this movie, oh my god, The Time Traveler's Wife. I get that vibe from this, and it seems really sweet and wholesome for the season, because y'all know I don't always be reading them wholesome books. So this seems fitting for the holiday. Let me see what else. The other two books on my list are, I think it's called When a Time Tolls. This is I might be getting the book name wrong, so I'll definitely put up a picture. This one was recommended by a friend of mine. The main character, I believe she passes away and ends up in hell, and what she thought of hell, or what she had been told hell was like, is completely different. So that's a very simple, what I recall from the synopsis. And God, what else did I order? Oh, and I put on hold a book called something Spice and Pumpkins, or Let's Spice It Up with Pumpkins. Again, I'll put the book cover up. That is like a romance situation for Thanksgiving time. So I have those, and then I have a few more books on my TBR that we'll go over later. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that, and I will see y'all in a little bit. It's missing something. I just don't know what. Maybe a little seasoned salt? Okay, so the last thing I need to make for this meal is some fried cornbread. So that entails an egg, flour, cornmeal, more cornmeal than flour, a little bit of oil, and you can either use hot water or milk. Mix it up, and then you have to let it rise for a little bit, and then you can fry it. this is good, or I'm just really hungry, which is also true. This type of hearty meal makes me feel like Popeye, the Sailor Man. So I wanted to read a little bit, but it is late in the evening and your girl is tired. So I am going to demolish the rest of this soup, and I've been catching up on Ghost Adventures. So I am gonna finish up the last 2 episodes that are available and probably head back off to sleep. All right, you guys, you have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Well, you know what I mean. It'll be tomorrow for me, but it'll just be a few minutes for y'all, okay?
You want to say anything? Sing up. Sing up. Do you want to say anything? Sing up. Sing up. Why are you still here in this hospital? Is something keeping you here? What do you need? We want to help you.
Alrighty, let's see. What do I want to drink this morning? I like me some oolong. I like me some Breeze Easy. Okay. So I love both of these, but I can only put one in the cup right now, right? Okay. So we're gonna do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by his toe. If he holler, let him go. And my mama told me to pick the very best one. And you are it. All right, so it is that time to go over what I read in the month of October. And if you tuned in for my last reading vlog, I had a plan to get to Never Whistle at Night, When the Wolf Comes Home, Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and Love at First Sighting. I didn't get to all of them for the usual reasons, but the ones that I did get to were amazing in their own way, and October was one of the best reading months I've had. I just really enjoy each story. So let's start with Love at First Sighting. So my plan was to start with the least scariest read and work my way up to the scariest. And Love at First Sighting is really cute and lighthearted. It is a rom-com that felt really balanced in terms of the humor and the chemistry between the MCs, the emotion. I really
ended up enjoying it. The main character, Elle Martin, is a social media influencer who one night spots something strange in the sky. And she spots an unidentified flying object. She posts this video online and it ends up catching the attention of a secret government agency. Now, side tangent real quick. How many of y'all believe in aliens? Let me know down in the comments, okay? Because they real. They real. Enter Carter Brody. Carter takes on Elle's case because he saw something similar when he was a kid right before his father passed away. So these two come from totally different worlds and end up working together to figure out what they really saw. So Elle seems like she has everything. This perfect influencer life, the success, the confidence. But underneath that, she's feeling disconnected and a little lost. And for Elle, this whole situation forces her to reevaluate her curated version of this life that she's living. And for Carter, he's been living with some scars emotionally and physically and stuck doing desk work for this agency. And this case pulls him out of the routine that he's living and tests him to trust in himself more. What I love most about this couple is how natural their relationship felt. There's cute banter, there's teasing, there's flirting, but there's also emotional growth. And they didn't immediately jump into like a horizontal tango in this read. The author really gave them space to like get to know each other, to accept each other's quirks, and again, they're both trying to work through what is this thing that I saw, like I'm not crazy. The author really wrote them like two puzzle pieces that just really fit together. The next one I picked up was Someone You Can Build a Nest In. And this one was one of the weirdest ones I've read this year. It definitely, and it was weird, but it's not the weirdest book I've read. I might need to do a video on that. Some of the weirdest books I read. Like I've read a book where and it was a erotica. It was like bubble people doing the do. Okay, like legit, like they had to be blown up and had their own autonomy and conscious thought and wanted to get, busy.
You weird, buddy. You're weird.
But it took me by surprise because I went into this expecting a horror, and I got so much more than that. It was deeper in terms of like talking about emotions, and I would have never figured that reading the synopsis and looking at the cover. Shishi Shin is the main character in this one, and I'm probably gonna mess up this word, but she is an amorphous carnivorous being who lives off of eating other living things, such as humans and rats if necessary, and squirrels and whatever else she can find. And to be clear, she is not a villain. Okay, this is just her nature. Most of the book is from her POV, and through her narration, you learn about how she remembers her childhood, from her mother's steel teeth to the warmth of her father's body as it was used to literally feed his children. And this book and some of the things that go on in it are strange and sad all at once. If you haven't already, check out the video I uploaded last, and I read a little excerpt from Someone You Can Build a Nest In to get a little taste of what I'm talking about. I'll link it above. What starts as a darkly humorous monster narrative turns into something very reflective and a bit emotional. Shishi Shin starts learning about humans, specifically through her connection with a woman named Homley. And Homley is a monster hunter who is dealing with her own very tough circumstances. As a heads up, this book does not have trigger warnings. And for me, I don't need a book to have trigger warnings. I don't know if I'm just desensitized to a lot of things. I don't know if that's probably not a good thing. But to give you guys a heads up, the author does dive into subject matters such as physical abuse, emotional, verbal abuse, okay? And also, on a lighter note, like some subject matters are found family and healing. Even though this story has its grotesque moments, there's a warmth in it, especially when you realize that both Shishi Shin and Homley are just trying to survive in their own ways. Alrighty, this last one was the highlight of October, and I'm not even gonna waste any time. This one was a 5-star read. Absolutely one of the top reads for me for this year, and it was When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I originally planned to read the physical copy of this book, and it was right around the time where I had to go back to work. My vacation time was up, and of course, I don't want to just be sitting at my desk and not also getting other stuff done, multitasking. So I was able to borrow it from Libby. And let me just say, the audio experience was phenomenal, okay? Probably one of the most immersive reads that I've listened to. There will be moments where I would be listening to it and I would just have to stop and take in what was happening. Like literally, I would be washing dishes and have to stop and be like, what? Hold on, go back, Or I'd be sitting at my desk at work and be like, who did what? Looking crazy, okay, because my office got glass windows
to it, and I know I looked like I was talking to myself, and I was, but it was necessary, okay, to get through and process what was happening.
So the audio book opens with this eerie, unsettling music, and it sets the tone for what you're finna get into. And the author, Mr. Nat Cassidy, made several auditory appearances, which is a first for me. I haven't seen another author do that, but he did his thing in this. So he co-narrated some parts, and he did the trigger warning entry. He did the afterwards, which I usually don't listen to, but I listen to his, and you get to learn more about what inspired this book. And his voice, his delivery is amazing. Most of the audiobook is narrated by a female narrator named Helen Neisser or Nacer. She portrayed Jess and many other characters in the book, but again, Cassidy made some appearances in it as well. So, on to the main story. So, I went into this not knowing what to expect. I mentioned it that I felt like Mr. Cassidy kept the synopsis like really hush hush. I didn't know if the wolf was going to be metaphorical or literal. And to be honest with y'all, I don't know if I can aptly describe how dynamic and how unpredictable and how layered this story was. I just feel like I am not going to do it justice by describing this, but I'm gonna try. It was dark, it was emotional, and woven together so intentionally, and had so many realistic and possibly relatable moments in it. I know that a lot of people are not into reading horror. And I was talking to one of my friends about this book, and she's like, I don't like horror. I don't like gore. And I get that. I can see where that cannot be somebody's thing. But if you can get past the horror, you will not regret it. This story was so layered, and it was not just about scary moments. The story included dealing with loss, different kinds of loss, dealing with the things that we fear and how those things manifest and affect the rest, other areas of our lives. And largely, this story dealt with paternal relationships and how, our relationships with our parents, but specifically our fathers, shape who we become. Just for example, one of our main characters, there were definitely a lot of moments when I couldn't understand her choices. I was just like yelling at her, go left, and she would go right. You know what I'm saying? But as a reader, you get some deep insight into her thoughts and her fears and her coping mechanisms. There are other POVs that you will encounter, which include from the boy that Jess saves, and you get in the mind of, I think he's four. You get in the mind of a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, and how he's taking in what's happening to him and happening around him. And it was, it was sad and sweet and innocent all at the same time. And the POV from the father, understanding where he's coming from as a parent and his logic behind some of the decisions that he's making towards his child. And secondary characters. There's POVs from secondary characters. And I sometimes don't think authors do it well at least with the books that I've encountered, where they have the secondary or the supporting characters talk, you know, and I feel like it's an unnecessary detour. Like, I don't care about them. Why are they talking? Why are they getting so much page time? But I didn't feel that way with Cassidy's secondary and supporting characters, because he made sure that every detour, what seemed like a detour away from the main plot or away from what was going on with Jess and the boy, was intentional and tied back to the central plot, the central mystery. When I made it to the end, there was such a major twist, a twist that Cassidy had been weaving right in front of my face. And it's one of those endings that makes you just sit there. Like, what just happened? It took me a couple of days to get my equilibrium. I know I probably said that funny. It's another word that I can't really say. It took me a couple of days to like rebalance, because I felt like I had lived a lifetime with these characters. I swear to y'all, when I finished this book, I was literally like this. So, you remember a couple of months ago, I mentioned that I was getting more into reading manga. I've been reading more manhwa online, but there was a manga series that I saw, and my local library system only had the first volume. And I put in a request, and they ordered the other volumes that are available. And it is Firefly Wedding. So this is volume 1, volume 2, 3, and 4. The synopsis for the first one says, afflicted with a heart condition, Meiji-era noblewoman Satoko, hold on, let me get her name right. I think it's Satoko, Satoko, is determined to secure a marriage that will benefit her family before she dies. But before she can realize her goal, she's targeted by a mysterious assassin named Shinpei. In a last-ditch effort to save her life, Satoko asks her would-be murderer to marry her. Her proposal isn't sincere, but unfortunately for her, Shinpei loves as intensely as he kills. Can Satoko find a way to break the engagement without losing her life? When it comes to love, however, Shinpei takes unto death do we part seriously. Doesn't this sound cute? I love the covers. Yes, he's giving dangerous. He's giving obsessed. She's giving, I don't know what I'm finna do with this man. And I love it. So, I'm gonna go grab me something to eat because it is definitely like lunchtime. I'm going to have some more kale soup, and then we're gonna get into Firefly Wedding. All right, you guys, so I have made it about halfway through the second volume, and this is a cute story. The first volume has 4 to 5 chapters and a little bonus panel, and you learn about Satoko and her, well, what she's been struggling with her heart issues, and her family background. And of course, back in those times, and in some places still today, women are just considered, you know, property. They're considered an asset of the family. And Satoko, in her mind, she feels as though she's been a burden. So she isn't fighting against the will of her family to get married to somebody. Shinpei, he, you know, I don't want to use this term too loosely, but he got some screws loose. But I think I stopped right as in this volume where they're sharing a bit more about themselves with each other, and I'm sure Shinpei is going to share a little bit about his childhood and what has shaped him to be who he is. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for another reading vlog situation, and I will see y'all in the next one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do another video before the month is over. We'll see. But if I don't see y'all, or if you don't see me until next month, I hope you have a great, safe, blessed Thanksgiving. And until next time, you guys, stay safe, be blessed, and remain unapologetically you.